Okay. So as I mentioned, so in case of any bolts or nut and tools, etc., should be kept in the boxes and not loose on the structures. Even vertical column should be tied by the four guy ropes, and also only after the bracing or fixing, the ropes may be removed by one on one. So when I say vertical columns, also you have four guy ropes so that we can able to balance from the fall. Precautions in the placing of stresses are explained in the forcing of part 1. Okay. And also CGI sheet, which is nothing but the galvanized sheets. By lifting manually by proper system, it should not fall, and they should be kept tied and also on top, and also the bolts, and also stitched ultimately. So basically what will happen while shifting of this sheets, also it is very risky while taking to the top of the structure. So there they use ropes as well as special hooks for the lifting. It is a kind of an hook kind of setup they'll apply in the bottom, then they will pull the sheets. Okay. Then underwater works. So this is another area where people used to work in the construction site. The work under the underwater is required for the deep foundations and also well sinking, river bridges, and underwater piping, tunneling, concreting, coffer dams, floating structures, and also other special operations pertaining to irrigation and marine purposes. So these are the various kinds of activities we do in the underwater, which is completely working within the water. So when you talk about the underwater works, the main safety measures are necessary, or prevent workers from the falling into the water, and also to rescue them in the event of drowning, and safe and sufficient transport and life-saving equipments are nearby. So here the basic rule will be everybody should know the swimming and also prevention of fall. Sometimes from the top also we used to operate the equipments which will work in the underwater. Then life buoys, life jackets, manned boats, and also the fencing, safety nets, safety harnesses, and also protection from reptiles and other animals also necessary. So we should also talk on life buoys and the life jackets and other means of provisions in case of any emergency to protect the employees. Then bridges, footbridges, pontoons, walkways, gangways, and workplaces should be possess sufficient buoyancy or strength and stability, be wide enough to allow safe movement of the workers, free from the nails, bolts, knots, and also tripping hazards, and boarded over the tightened sufficiently, and be provided with life-saving equipment, tow boats, guardrails, hand ropes, etc. So basically, all these provisions we made for the movement of the vehicle, movement of the people, as well as it should be sufficiently spaced, as well as which are free from the all the slip trip hazards. Okay. Ashes, etc., to be anchored to prevent the runaway, to provide with ladders with safety, the hooks. Then we have floating structures. So it should have the shelters or lifelines, the gaps, and also ring buoys. The rafts, if used, should be strong enough to carry the loads and securely moored, and also have safe means of access. Sometimes you'll have floating structures, so those structures should have strong supports. Then iron decks should be studded with a non-slip surface, and also deck opening should be fenced. Floating pipeline should have a safe walkways, and no person should enter any hydraulic dredges or gear room without any informing the the leave men and also without being accompanied by second person. So care rooms is nothing but again there is a hoist kind of setup for the people movement. There people should not be went alone. Hence it is in a risky activity where they do the hoisting. So there you should have a second man support. The hoist line and also drag lines, buckets, cutter heads, and also the bridles should be inspected daily. Workers should be embarked and also demarked only at the safe and also suitable landing places and also counted regularly. The people has to be counted on a regular basis. And also the buckets, the dragging lines, nothing but will use to dig the soil or take do the excavation underwater. In at situations we have to inspect all this equipment. Buckets and wire ropes and drag lines are nothing but again rope slings on a regular basis. Then we use boats for the transportation of people who work underwater. So boats used to transport workers by water should be complied with the legal requirements. If any, it should be manned by any adequate and also experienced crew and can be equipped with life-saving appliances. So life-saving appliance. So when I say life saving, it is nothing but jackets. It can prevent the drowning of the people who doesn't know swimming. Even though if they know swimming also, it is not possible to swim such a longer distances or maybe shorter distances. So we use this life buoys or jackets to prevent from drowning. And the number of persons that can be transported safely should be marked as clearly visible, and no more persons than must be allowed. So based on the capacity of the boat, so we have to define number of people to be traveled. More than that, we are not supposed to allow anybody to transport in the vehicle. Two boats should have a device to a quick release or a tow rope, tow boats. Power-driven boats should carry a suitable fire extinguishers, and raw boats should carry a space of set of oars, and rescue boats should be properly constructed and also sufficient length, and also the beam to afford the stability. And for the work in a tidal water or the fast flowing rivers, a power driven craft should be provided with a fixed self starting device on the motors. When not patrolling, their engine should be run several times in a day to ensure the full efficiency. So depends on the work and depends on the activity. You should choose the suitable boats, as well as if it is not in running condition also eventually you have to start several times so that we can ensure that it is working efficiently so that we can use in the case of any emergency situation arises. Then rescue emergency procedures. So buoyancy aid like life jackets should be provided to the rescue crew, and also operative should not work alone and they should be trained for emergency procedures. So definitely yes. Not only in the underwater, even above ground works also there might be chance of emergency situation can arise at any point of time. So we have to predict what are the different types of emergencies can occur, potential emergencies. When you talk about construction industry, fall of person, head injuries, electrical shock, struck by the people in the running nets of the machineries, and also any snake bites or poisoning. So these are the different types of emergencies we could expect or we can predict. So based on those emergency situations, we have to create an emergency rescue plan. Based on the plan, we have to train our employees. Okay. Then BOCW Rules 1998 requires emergency action plan to handle emergencies like drowning of workers, sinking of vessels, fire and explosion, collapse of lifting and also transporting equipment, building, shed, structure, etc., gas leakage, spillage of dangerous goods, and landslide, floods, sorting, etc. it should be approved by the director of general. So depends on emergency situations, you have to create emergency action plan. So when we say emergency action plan, again, who will involve in emergency action plan? Any guess? What are the various categories of people will involve in emergency plan? We have seen in IS 108, and we have explained also. What are the various categories of people?
Vulnerable.
Okay. Or what are the different roles of people will be there?
Firefighting team, first aid team, rescue team.
Okay. These call will call it as
First,
ERT members.
barricade. First, sir, first barricade the area when any incident is happened.
Or another. Navneet, I'm asking for what are the different categories or types of teams will be involved in emergency operation?
Incident controller.
Yes, this is what I'm expecting. Incident controller, site controller, then ERT team. When I say ERT team, it is in a broader area where you will see the first aiders, firefighters, then rescue members, even security, everybody will comes in. When I say incident control, he will be the overall person to oversee the incident, what is happening. Then he will give update to the site controller. So site controller will be the ultimate decision maker upon the responding to that emergency. Incident control, he will be overseeing the incident and monitoring the situation. Either we can evacuate or completely go away from the situation, or either we can start firefighting in case of any there's a fire accident. So once the incident happens, as we know, everybody will come to the assembly point. Can we allow the people movement in the gate at the time of emergency situation?
No, sir.
Why?
Access is access. Like whoever, for example, there is no particular guideline that employees or workers, whoever working in organization, should exit from the emergency exit door. Whoever nearer to any door, they can exit from that particular door. So if whether it is main door, whether it is fire exit door. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, fine, Mohammed. I'm asking for the main entrance. For example, factory gate. So an emergency siren as activated at the time. Can we allow the people to leave the facility or leave the organization? The main gate I'm talking about. Emergency exit, that is fine. You correctly said. Can we allow the
Sir,
people movement?
Sir, maybe head
in case
count
of
has to be taken,
sir,
no? You have
Yes,
to assemble at the
some doubt.
emergency point and head count has to be
sir,
taken.
One by one, please.
in case of emergency, we can go to safest location as an assembly point to some areas.
Yeah.
Then after we search the total persons.
Mm-hmm.
That is
We can't open that main door because
yes, sir.
other means of public also can enter inside the factory to know what is exactly happened. So there might be a curiosity. So whenever the emergency condition occur, so we have to move the people to the assembly area for the counting purpose as well.
Yes. Perfect. Thanks, Mohammed. So basically, what will happen? So whenever any emergency situation comes, so immediately they have to play their role, which are which are predefined. So for each person, we have defined set of roles and responsibilities. For incident control, we have a few set of roles and responsibilities. For site control, we have few roles and responsibilities. For licensing team, mostly HR people, for them there is a set of roles and responsibilities. Maintenance and firefighters and first aiders. Okay. and security personnel. So for the each designation, each ERT member, we will define the set of roles and responsibilities. So in that case, whenever any emergency siren which is activated, so immediately the security personnel has to close the gates so that we can avoid the unnecessary movement of the people. So the public will have very curiosity, so nothing they will support just to disturb our emergency operations. So we have to shut off the gates. Only we will allow the rescue teams, which comes from the government side or any the companies within the vicinity. So majorly you take the peer support. Those people can be allowed. General public are not supposed to allow. And second case, due to the panic situation, people will have tendency to leave the gate, or they can try to escape from the facility. It is not about escape because of the fear factor. In that case, what will happen? We do head count at the safe assembly point. When you say safe assembly point, we have to ensure that in the entire factory, even it is burning also, whatever the place I have identified as a safe assembly point, there you will not have any hazard. So that is the safest point. If wind direction changes, we can't do anything. If wind direction changes, the smokes or the fumes which are coming towards assembly point, that is in a different story. But as a physical hazard, there is no harm to the people if the people are assembled at particular location. Such a location we have to identify. Sometimes what will happen, just for the namesake, people used to identify the assembly points adjacent to the production blocks, so which is not at all a safe. So then we do a head count. Once we done the head count, the people will be missing. The security has not closed the gate on time, so he is also worried and become panic. Then five, six people have been escaped from the company, or they just leave the company from the gate. There is no punching, etc. They just left. So what will happen? There is a major fire accident happened. So actually, we have seen only 2 dead bodies there, but total 5 people have missed. Then everybody will be under pressure. So head count is missing. So that is why we have to train people in such a way that in case of any emergency, they should not be hide anywhere. They must and should come to the assembly point. Then it will be easy for the rescue team also to search for the people. And also it is the responsibility of the supervisors and also the engineers and the floor managers, making sure that nobody left behind in the case of emergency. Sometimes people will sometimes went back for their gadgets or any specific things, so it is not the case. The gadgets and things and all we can buy anytime if you are alive, so you should not give such importance to your gadgets or any other things in the case of emergency. Okay, so that is why we used to do the rehearsals for the mock drills and fire drills, so that people will be familiar. Sometimes these mock drills and fire drills also, it will be funny thing. They won't take it serious. So that's why what we do 1 2 announced drills or pre-announced mock drills, and few of them we do unannounced. When I say unannounced, people, for them it is in a real emergency. As we know, safety people we know, and also the ERT team will know. Okay, it is in a just a trial or a mock emergency. But for the people who are in the production blocks, for them it is in a real emergency situation. Okay. Then we went to demolition. So as we know, demolition, it is also a key and also important activity, especially if you're dismantling or removing of any old structure or old building to construct a new building. When it's a demolition of very old and also life ended, weak or unsafe construction becomes necessary, we have to do a demolition. It is nothing but you just collapsing the building. Sometimes it is required for a new construction, alteration, addition, or repair on the same site. Sometimes what we'll do, we will do for the new sites also. When you say demolition, just a piece of wall you are taking down, that is also a demolition. Or if you are taking down a 10-floor building, even recently or close to 1 year in Noida, the government has taken down two tall high-rise buildings because it is illegally constructed. So that is also called under demolition. Either it is weak for alteration, for a repair, which you are taking down the structure, we call it as demolition. The high risk is involved due to falling or flying materials, working at height, or on a structure being broken, use of heavy hand tools and heavy blows, and vibration or sudden collapse. Here we use of explosives, or sometimes we do manual, sometimes we use equipments or the machineries for demolition activity. So working at height, that is a major risk. Use of heavy tools, that is in a major risk. Vibration and sudden collapse of the structure or building, that is also a major risk. Not only the workers, but the public passing by have also be protected. Proper planning, permit procedures, and also sequence of work, the training of the workers, and safety supervision by competent person or some of the basic requirements. When you say only the not only the workers, sometimes if you are doing such a demolition in a dense population or in the within the cities, as we know, cities we construct our houses very closely, so others are public to us, so we have to ensure the safety of the public as well. Or it is any high traffic road which is adjacent to your building, then there will be a number of people will be moving here and there, then that also will be a concern for us to protect. Then proper planning, work permits, procedures or sequence of work, training of the workers, and also safety supervision by competent person or the some of the basic requirements for the demolition. When you talk about the precautions prior to the demolition, a definite demolition procedure should be worked after the studying the entire structure and carrying out a survey of its drawings, load bearing members, and type of foundation and walls. So we have to create a procedure before starting of the demolition by carrying out a detailed inspection. What are the load bearing members and also the structure or the foundation of the building, etc., and also chemical contents, if any previous use or structural problems or ground characteristics, condition of the roof trusses, a type of framing used in the framed structure, equipment sensitive to noise, vibration, dust, etc., radioactivity, utility or service lines, gas and power lines, joint with or an effect on adjacent buildings, and also climatic conditions. We have to see in case of any use of chemicals, or is there any chemical tanks underneath that vehicle or the structure. It depends on the building which you are planning for a demolition. And also the structural problems, is there any pre-structural issues are there, then the ground characteristics, and also condition of the roof trusses, that also we have to see. Okay. And also type of forming used or also framing used in the framed structures, and also is there any equipments which are sensitive to the noise and also vibration ducts, etc. All these things we have to check. And apart from that, the utility services, when you say building, definitely you will have certain set of utility services which are connected So we have to isolate all those utility connections before planning for demolition. And also climatic conditions as well. Either it's a rainy or too sunny or foggy, or we can't able to visualize the complete structure, etc. So and also we can take the structural engineer advice, so that he can guide us on all load bearing members where we can uh, activate the detonators to collapse the building, and also we can able to demolish. So when talk about a method of demolition should be formulated after the survey which we have conducted, and recorded in a method statement after identifying the problems and their solutions. So you will identify, is there any weak structure or the roofs, and also is there any chance of the chemicals or any instruments or any utility pipelines which are going through. So those all will be your problems. Based on the problems which you have identified, accordingly you will go for the solutions. Okay. Then all electric, gas, water, and other service lines should be shut off or safely protected against the damage. The plant or building should be isolated from the other plants and buildings. One is, whatever the utility connections which are connected, it has to be isolated or protected or removed. And also the buildings which are connected to it. Sometimes the foundations or connections will be there. So first we have to do a disconnection of those foundations with adjacent buildings. And for the protection of the public, all the roads and also open area surroundings of the work, that is nothing but danger or safety zone, should be fenced off, fencing height of at least 2 meters, and caution boards and also danger signs should be displayed in the local language. So it has to be protected. We have to mark as a danger zone or safe zone. Within the safe zone, the people should not come. Okay, that we have to mark. And also we have to provide the fencing. If you see in the cities, you will see the 2 meter or 3 meter tall sheets they used to have as a barricade, so that in case of any demolition activity, in case of any throwing particles, it should not come and hit with the public. And also
Sir,
the
can we,
signages. Yeah.
sir, can we consider this announcement a day before the demolition for high-rise buildings
Yes,
in
yes, that
local?
also happens. Yes, that is also that, even not about the announcement. There you have to take the municipality approvals. Then you
Okay.
have to barricade the area. You have to, whatever the connections for that high-rise building, which means the passages or the roads, within the limit you have to completely isolate. And also you should have intimations. You can have signages at the multiple locations saying that on so and so date, so and so building is going to be demolished, and we can intimate before the demolition. Also we can announce, so please be within the houses, don't come out because of the dust effect and all will be there. For the dust suppression also, we immediately have the fire tenders or other suppression systems to suppress the dust, and the pre-announcement is mandatory. That should be done. Otherwise people will be get surprised if an immediate initiation of such demolitions. Then also different types of people. So as we know, people will be migrating for their life style, and also seeking the opportunities to earn money. So wherever you are doing activity, there you should keep the multiple language representation, so that it reaches to the most of the people. And then unauthorized entry into it shall be effectively controlled. If a swinging weight ball is used for the demolition, a width of a safety zone should be 1.5 times height of the structure. And also if a clamshell bucket is used for the demolition, a safety zone of 8 meters from the line of travel of bucket should be maintained. And it's a swing ball. I think there is a picture. Yeah, this is a swing ball. So if you're using a swing ball, you have to use 1.5 times than the height of the structure as a safety zone or a danger zone. Such a area you should protect, or you have to make evacuation of the people in such distances. If you're using a bucket, so there it is just 80 meter. So within the bucket where the bucket is moving, so 80 meters you should consider as the safest distance. Then we'll see the precautions during the demolition. What are the precautions or supposed to be taken? So here only trained workers should be employed. New or unskilled may cause more accidents because they are not familiar. They don't know what to do, and they don't have any idea. So how they can protect themselves with the projections or the waste which is throwing out during the demolition activity. And also should wear the helmet and safety belt, shoes, and also safety goggles and gloves upon the requirement. As a part which should be destroy the stability of the other parts should not be demolished. A part which should be destroy the stability of other parts, it should not be demolished. In the sense, in case of any part or piece of structure or building where it can impact the adjacent building, the stability, you should not touch that. To prevent danger, or parts of the structure should be adequately shored or braced, otherwise supported on foundation walls, serving as retaining walls to support earth, and adjoining structures should not be demolished until the adjoining structure has been underpinned or braced on the earth, removed or supported by the sheet piling or shentling. So in case of any adjacent supports which are close to the building which you are planning for demolition, those structures has to be properly supported with a underpinning. If you have taken any soil, or if you have taken any uh, sand which is removed from those supports or any adjacent walls, or we can also provide with the uh, shuttering support from the collapse. Then, when deliberate controlled collapse technique is to be used, expert engineering advice should be obtained. So, deliberate controlled collapse, which is nothing but we use the detonators, so it will collapse at the same vicinity, and it should be used only where the enough surrounding space is available to withdraw a men and equipment at a safe distances. Structure not carrying its design load may be pre-weakened before deliberate collapse. Sometimes what will happen, there is a structural weakness. If it is not able to carry its own load, so we have to pre-weaken the structure. Okay. But it is such cases, pre-weakening should be carefully planned, and also dead load should be reduced systematically. In case of such situation, we have to do a careful planning for the weakening of the such structures, and also we have to remove the dead load or the heavy load members or the structure or parts of the structure we have to remove, so that it will automatically reduce the weight on the structure. Okay. So we have 20 seconds. I'm stopping here. We can continue in the next class.